I wasn't prepared for that. We have returned and we're covering about grief. Good grief. A lot of people think of Charlie Brown when you hear that. You're like, oh, good grief. Now, have you ever thought about that grief is a process that is good for you? That is something that you cannot avoid, that will happen to every single individual in their life at least once. You know, all relationships in the world are unique. Everybody is their own individual. And you have to understand that depending on the type of loss, what you're going through, and the things that happen with you, there's one thing you must understand, that there's nothing wrong with you. I've seen people say, hey, don't talk about my dad. You're going to make me cry. Don't make me cry. And they avoid trying to grieve. They don't want to cry. They think that they have to be strong for everyone. They think that they have to sit here and be the Superman of the family. You can go to your local Red Cross or the Salvation Army or your church. You can actually get training on first aid in the community. But has anyone ever taken a training course on how to deal with significant loss? And that's kind of what we're trying to do tonight. We're trying to give you a Good Grief 101 course. And it's just an introductory course. I'm not getting too in-depth in it. I just want to prepare people because I know with the economy the way it is, there's a lot of people that are suicidal. I know there's been a lot of births. There's been a lot of deaths. A lot of deaths because of the cold, and a lot of people getting older, and just a lot of things coming against people. This is something everyone has to be prepared for. We all know loss is inevitable. Sometimes loss is even predictable for those that are in the medical industry. If you know one person dies, you can normally say 3 to 7 people will die in your facility before the end of a 30-day, 90-day period. And that just seems to be something connected.
I've seen it.
And Miranda's personally seen these things.
I've seen it over and over again.
You know, like I said, the myths. Can you go check the time, please?
We've
about
only
the
been
myths about dealing with grief. Don't cry, some people will say. You know, you don't need to cry about that. You know, let's just move on. Let's just forget about it. And you know what? Here's an example. Anyone watch the movie Old Yeller? Everyone loved the dog and everything. You know, well, imagine, you had Old Yeller and your dog died. Your dad comes up to you and says, oh, don't cry about it. You know, it'll be okay. I'll just get you a new dog. Myth number 2. Replacement of what has been lost does not solve anything. You are causing whomever that person is even more grief and more struggle in their life, because one, you don't want to feel bad, and 2, you replace the loss. In other words, people are taught to laugh, and the whole world laughs with you, and cry, and you cry alone. In other words, they want you to grieve by yourself. They want you to just give her some space. They need to be alone. That's myth number 3. Well, let's just give them some space. You know, they're real angry.
Sometimes they do need space, though.
But the thing is when it gets to the point where that's the only thing being offered. There's no hugging. There's no sitting down talking to somebody. There's no trying to work through the next levels of grief and to the next place that you need to do. So now we have 3 pieces of data here. We have don't feel bad, replace the loss, or grieve alone. Here's the next part. You know, you probably heard, well, don't feel bad, grieve alone. and you know, you might go to your mom or something like that. It says, well, time will heal all wounds. We're taught that, you know, just because time goes, you know, you're just gonna feel better. So let me give you an example of that. You know, like you went to your mother, and you know you just lost your goldfish. You said, "Oh, give it time. You know, here's a new goldfish, and you'll feel fine. You know, you don't need to cry. Just move on."
You say that, and I think about the Cosby Show episode where Rudy's goldfish dies. And then I also think about my friend Nate. Every time one of his fish died, he before he flushed it down the toilet, he would sing "Closer, My God, to Thee."
All right. Well, you're gonna have to go get to the clock, so we can take a break here.
We got 4 minutes. We're fine.
But then we got this next portion. Let's see how I can explain this one. You know, and this could deal with divorce too. Let's say you move forward and you've had a divorce, or you've lost a loved one or whatever, and you're the oldest kid, or you're the mother, or you're the husband, or whatever, you know, whichever role that fits you best here. You're told by your parents, or you know, you have kids, so you're like, well, I need to be strong for everybody else. I need to set an example that I don't need to feel bad. I should replace the loss, that I should grieve alone, or I should just give it time. And I need to be strong for everybody else. I don't need anyone to see me mentally break down and cry and be upset and not do the things that I want to do into the direction that I feel that I want to do. You know, that doesn't work. You know, when you do that, you are causing yourself to go through the grieving process. The first, you know, initial grieving process, you're making that go years, and potentially more on years. We're going to take a break, and we'll cover more about loss. We're going to cover more about sharing the good news and what is good grief. We'll return.